welcome to Chore Chapters, because everyday tasks need good company. I'm Leo, and with me as always, we have got Luna.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today we've got a thrilling and interesting story lined up, so grab your headphones and let's dive straight into the story.
This deep dive, it begins on what really feels like an innocent spring day back in 1975. Suburban Maryland still had this real sense of freedom.
Yeah, different time.
Totally. So picture this. 10-year-old Kathryn and 12-year-old Sheila Lyon, they're leaving their home in Kensington for, a fun trip out to Wheaton Plaza Mall.
It's the normal day out for them.
Exactly. They were excited about Easter displays, grabbing pizza. Kathryn apparently even joked about the pizza price, like going up 5 cents from 40 to 45 cents.
Wow.
Just this tiny, everyday detail. It really highlights how normal everything felt right before it all changed.
And it's those ordinary little moments that make what happened next so utterly shocking.
Yeah.
Because by 4:00 p.m., their mother, Mary Lyon, she realizes their curfew passed. And what probably started as, just annoyance, it escalated fast.
Into panic.
Sheer panic.
Yeah.
By 7:00 p.m., the police were called. Kathryn and Sheila Lyon had just vanished without a trace.
And that kicked off one of the biggest police investigations the whole Washington, D.C. area had ever seen, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely huge.
And for, almost 40 years? Their fate was just unknown, a complete haunting mystery.
Mm-hmm. A total enigma.
Then finally, a breakthrough in 2013. It led to the conviction of Lloyd Lee Welch Jr., which, brought some legal accountability.
Some closure, legally speaking, yeah.
But this deep dive, I think it'll show that the case still raises these really profound questions about truth, about justice, and just the impact a tragedy like this has.
Definitely. So our mission today really is to unpack this whole 4-decade search for answers.
Yeah.
We'll look at the first investigation, how the cold case finally warmed up, those really disturbing confessions.
Yeah, the forensic challenges too.
Exactly. And the legacy, how this crime affected a whole generation.
So let's go back to that day, March 25th, 1975. That suburban innocence really was shattered. What do we know about their last movements before they disappeared?
Okay, so Kathryn and Sheila, they left home sometime between, say, 11:00 a.m. and noon. That Tuesday is the second day of their spring break.
Yeah.
They each had about $2. Mm-hmm. The plan was, check out Easter stuff, get pizza at the Orange Bowl there in Wheaton Plaza. It was actually their mom, Mary, who suggested the pizza idea.
Huh. And there were eyewitnesses initially? People saw them?
Yeah, there were a few key accounts early on. Their older brother, Jay Lyon, he saw them eating pizza around 2:00 p.m. that afternoon.
Okay, so confirmed at the mall.
Right. And another local resident, James Mann, a longtime Kensington Heights guy, he remembered waving to them on Drum Avenue as they were walking.
And the police response, you said it was massive.
Oh, immediate.
Yeah.
Intense. Police, neighbors, even 135 National Guardsmen, divers searching waterways. They covered huge areas.
And they ruled out the idea they'd run away pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty much right away. I mean, think about it. Their age, 10 and 12, they had barely any money, no extra clothes. It just didn't add up. It was clear pretty fast something awful had happened.
So investigators started looking for suspects. And two very different profiles emerged early on, didn't they?
They did. And this is crucial. First, there was the quote-unquote tape recorder man.
Right. I remember hearing about that.
Described as tall, white, middle-aged, maybe 50s or 60s, brown suit, carrying a briefcase with a tape recorder inside.
And he was talking to kids.
Yeah. Seen near the Orange Bowl around 1:00 p.m., engaging kids, including the Lyon sisters, apparently, telling them he'd record their voices for the radio or something like that.
Huh. So a sketch of him went out.
Widely. Yeah, that sketch got a ton of attention.
But there was another lead, right? Less publicized.
Exactly. The younger male suspect. This came from a friend of the sisters, Danette Shea. She described a guy, long hair, acne scars.
Okay.
Seen leering, as she put it, at her and her friends, and also Kathryn and Sheila, just shortly before they disappeared.
And a sketch was made of him, too.
Yes, but crucially, it wasn't widely released back then.
So all the focus went on the older guy, the tape recorder man.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that focus, it inadvertently might have diverted attention away from who we now know was the key suspect.
It's wild how an investigation can go down one path like that.
It really is. And because of that, maybe, or just the complexity, the case went cold. For decades, it became this persistent pebble in the department's shoe, as one person put it.
Generations of detectives worked on it.
Yeah, generations of Montgomery County police, they'd pull out the boxes of yellowing evidence periodically, hoping for a fresh look. But nothing broke. It just stayed cold.
Were there any other potential leads during those years anyone else looked at?
Well, briefly, in 1987, they looked at a guy named Fred Howard Coffey Jr. He was a convicted child molester, and he was near Wheaton Plaza around the time.
Okay.
And his method sometimes involved luring kids with devices like fishing poles or metal detectors, so it sort of echoed the tape recorder idea in a way. But ultimately, he was never charged in the Lyon case.
And through all this time, the family, the pain must have been unimaginable.
Oh, absolutely devastating. The girl's father, John Lyon, he was actually a well-known local radio personality.
He lived with this unresolved grief. In 1992, he actually joined the Montgomery County Victim Assistance and Sexual Assault Program, trying to help others.
Wow.
He passed away just fairly recently in the grand scheme, July 2025, never really knowing the full truth, never getting his daughters back.
That quote from him is just heartbreaking.
The one about finding dinosaur bones.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that people can disappear off the face of the earth without a trace when they find dinosaur bones and identify them.
It just perfectly captures that frustration, that deep, aching loss. How can someone just vanish?
Until 2013. Decades later, what finally happened?
It was Sergeant Chris Homrock, a cold case detective. He was doing the painstaking work, just reviewing old physical records, the actual paper files. And he saw it, a mugshot from 1977 of a guy named Lloyd Lee Welch Jr., and Homrock noticed a striking resemblance.
To which sketch?
To the second sketch, the one from 1975 of the younger male suspect seen leering at the girls, the one that hadn't been widely circulated.
Wow. After all that time, a single detail overlooked for decades finally cracked it open.
So who was Lloyd Lee Welch Jr.?
Well, back in 75, he was 18. Kind of a drifter, worked carnivals sometimes, and he had an extensive criminal history already, even then.
Including similar crimes.
Yes, including convictions for rape and sexual offenses against young girls. When they re-interviewed him in 2013, he was actually already in prison in Delaware, serving 29 years for molestation.
But here's the really chilling part, right? He wasn't unknown to the investigation back in 75.
Not at all. This is incredible. Welch actually contacted the police himself just days after the girls disappeared, April 1st, 1975.
Claiming he saw something.
Claiming he was a witness. He even described seeing the tape recorder man forcing the girls into a car, a red Camaro, he said.
So he put himself right there.
Right there. But he failed a polygraph test.
Which are controversial, not always reliable.
Exactly. Not admissible in court usually, but investigators use them. They dismissed him then as unreliable, maybe just looking for reward money or attention.
But he was there, involved, right from the start. It's just, chilling.
It completely changes how you see those early days. And it really set the stage for the interviews that started in 2013. It became this intense psychological game.
Like a chess match, it was described.
Yeah. His very first words to the detectives in 2013 were basically, "I know why you're here. You're here about those 2 missing kids."
He knew. And then the lies started.
Immediately. A pattern of what experts called pathological lying. His story just kept changing over and over across 12 different interviews.
Who did he try to blame first?
Initially, he pointed the finger at a man named Raymond Molesky Sr. He was a known child sex trafficker who actually died in prison back in 2010.
Did Molesky fit the description?
Reportedly, yeah, he kind of resembled the tape recorder man sketch. He even had a limp sometimes mentioned in witness accounts. But Welch's story eventually shifted again.
Towards his own family.
Yes. He started implicating his own family members.
And the interrogation techniques used here. They've drawn some scrutiny, haven't they?
They have. And it raises really important ethical points. Detectives acknowledged they massaged his statements. They used deceptive...
Like fabricating evidence.
Yeah, they told him they found a diary written by his late wife that implicated him. This diary didn't exist.
Wow.
They also gave him misleading legal advice, telling him he wasn't a suspect or that he might get immunity, which wasn't true.
Were those tactics legal?
Technically, most of them weren't illegal interrogation tactics at the time, but they definitely raised serious questions about, how reliable is the truth you get under those conditions? When does pushing for justice cross an ethical line?
It's a tough question, and as they dug into Welch, they started uncovering things about his family, didn't they? Some really dark stuff.
Extremely dark. The investigation into the Welch family, the whole clan, it uncovered this history of what was described as rampant sexual assaults and incest.
Just common practice.
That's how it was described. A dysfunctional family orchard with mountain hollow ways was one phrase used, suggesting this very isolated, deeply disturbed environment.
And then Welch made a more specific confession in 2014.
July 2014, yeah. It was a major turning point, even though his story still wasn't entirely consistent. He claimed he saw his father and his uncle, Richard Allen Welch Sr., sexually abusing one of the girls
Where?
in a basement in Hyattsville, Maryland. He said he was threatened, forced to help them destroy evidence later, but even the location shifted in his telling. First he said it was his uncle's house, then his father's.
So still inconsistencies, but did anything corroborate this version?
Yes, and this was huge. Testimony came from Welch's own cousins. One cousin, Henry Parker, claimed he helped Lloyd Welch get rid of 2 duffel bags.
Duffel bags.
Yeah, heavy ones, Parker said, like 60, 70 pounds each. They were red-stained and smelled like death. Parker claimed they burned them at a bonfire on a place called Taylor's Mountain in Virginia back in the spring of '75.
Okay, that's specific. And shelling.
Very. And another cousin, Connie Akers, she backed up part of it. She remembered seeing Lloyd with a bulging army green duffel bag around that time and said he asked her to wash some blood-stained clothing.
So it wasn't just Lloyd's word anymore. There was corroboration from family.
Right, which strongly suggested a wider involvement, or at least knowledge, within the family.
And didn't the uncle's wife get charged with something? Patricia Welch.
Yes, Patricia Welch, Richard Allen Welch Sr.'s wife. She was charged with perjury. The accusation was that she was basically organizing the family to stonewall the investigation, to keep quiet.
Wow. And did Lloyd Welch ever give a motive for the abduction itself?
He did. In July 2015, he claimed the goal was to force the girls into making a child pornography movie.
Oh, God.
And later, he tried to tie it back to the initial investigation somehow, claiming his uncle, who was a security guard, needed a man with a uniform to help carry out the abduction, sort of vaguely referencing that tape recorder man idea again.
It's just a tangled mess of lies and horrors. So with these confessions and corroborations, they started looking for physical evidence again.
Exactly. The focus shifted back to forensics, and that led to some truly unspeakable findings, and eventually that bittersweet verdict you mentioned.
Tell us about the basement search. Hyattsville, May 2015.
That was pivotal. They conducted a forensic examination of the basement in Lloyd Welch's father's house. They sprayed it with Blue Star Regent. It's a chemical that reacts with the iron in blood, even old traces. And according to Detective Dave Davis, who was there, it lit up from floor to ceiling. It lit up like a murder scene.
Floor to ceiling.
Extensive traces of human blood everywhere.
And this was significant because the detective found it himself, right? Not just based on what Welch said.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
Davis found this based on his own investigative process, following the leads, but not just relying on Welch's often contradictory narratives. It was a true aha moment for the detectives, independent validation.
Could they get DNA from that blood?
Tragically, no. The samples were just too degraded after all those years. They couldn't do genealogical DNA analysis to confirm he was the Lyon sisters. A major frustration, given how clear the visual was.
And what about Taylor's Mountain, where the cousin said they burned the bags?
They did extensive digs there, too, in Virginia. Neighbors in that area actually recalled a weird, prolonged fire around the time the girls disappeared. A fire that had a horrible smell, a stench of death, some said.
Did they find anything in the ground?
They did recover a tooth, but incredibly frustratingly, it was somehow lost before it could be properly analyzed.
No.
Yeah. And they found other fragments, degraded human bones at the burn site. But again, too degraded for DNA recovery. The physical proof was just elusive.
Still, the combination of the confessions, the corroboration, the basement scene, it was enough.
It was deemed enough. In July 2015, Lloyd Welch Jr. was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder in Bedford County, Virginia. That's where Taylor's Mountain is, where they believe the girls' bodies were ultimately disposed of.
But it didn't go to a full murder trial.
No, a plea bargain was reached December 12, 2017. Welch pleaded guilty to 2 counts of felony murder.
Explain felony murder again.
It basically means a death occurred during the commission of another serious felony in this case, abduction with the intent to sexually assault or defile. You don't necessarily have to prove he intended to kill them, just that they died as a result of the felony he participated in.
So he admitted to the abduction part.
He admitted participating in the abduction, yes, but he still denied directly sexually assaulting or murdering the girls himself.
And the sentence?
2 concurrent 48-year prison terms. The deal also resolved 2 other unrelated sexual assault cases against him. Critically, it spared him a potential death penalty trial.
And it secured a conviction, even without the bodies or DNA.
Exactly. It allowed for legal closure, despite the missing definitive physical evidence and the lack of a full confession to the killings themselves.
How did the Lyon family react to the plea deal?
As you can imagine, it was profoundly bittersweet. They expressed deep gratitude to the detectives for never giving up, for their decades of work. But the pain of not having their daughter's bodies recovered, that remained.
That lack of a final resting place.
It leaves them in a state of perpetual limbo, as they've described it.
Didn't they create their own memorial somewhere?
They did. Back in 1998, long before the conviction, they planted a weeping cherry tree and a little flower garden with a stone marker in a local cemetery. They visited it every week.
A place to mourn, even without knowing where their daughters are.
Precisely. It signifies that ongoing grief, that perpetual mourning for daughters whose final resting place is still unknown.
So, looking back at this whole case, decades of searching, the eventual conviction, what's the bigger picture here, the enduring legacy?
Well, it's huge, really. This case wasn't just about one family's tragedy, horrific as it was. It sent shockwaves far beyond Kensington, Maryland.
It changed things.
Profoundly. You hear it described as the crime that shattered the innocence of the suburbs of Maryland. It fundamentally changed how parents raised their children, especially in the D.C. region.
An end of an era, almost.
Definitely. That perception of childhood freedom, kids roaming neighborhoods freely, that really ended for a lot of people after this. Doors got locked. Kids stayed closer to home. The fear was palpable.
And did this case contribute to broader changes nationally?
Absolutely. This case, along with some other high-profile child abductions around that time, really fueled a national awakening about child safety.
Creating pressure for action.
Immense public pressure, a demand for real systemic change. And that pressure ultimately helped pave the way for crucial developments.
Like what?
Like the founding of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, in 1984. And federal laws like the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act of 1980. This case was part of the catalyst for those vital resources.
But even with the conviction, there are still unanswered questions, aren't there?
Oh, definitely. Lingering questions remain. What was the full extent of the Welch family's involvement? Prosecutors suggested an ongoing conspiracy, but charging others proved incredibly difficult.
Why was that?
Insufficient evidence, basically. Proving specific actions and culpability beyond a reasonable doubt is hard, especially decades later with uncooperative witnesses, family loyalties, and the very insular nature of communities like Taylor's Mountain. The full truth might still be buried with those secrets.
So, wrapping this up, the Lyon sister story, it's just this journey from suburban nightmare through decades of cold case frustration to a resolution that's complex. It shows the justice system working, but also its limits.
It really does. It highlights the incredible dedication of investigators, but also the immense challenges when dealing with lies, degraded evidence, and the passage of time.
It's a stark reminder that sometimes, even when someone is convicted, the deepest answers can remain elusive.
Which leaves us with a final thought, really. Even with a conviction, like in this case, when you're dealing with such profound deception, such a tangled web of family secrets, and especially the tragic absence of the victim's remains, what does closure truly mean?
Not just legally.
Right. What does it mean emotionally? For the family, for society, and maybe what lessons do we carry forward about just how complex truth can be when we're pursuing justice?
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and keep your chores company.